What's up YouTube? In this video, I'm going to give you skills that you must have to learn recruiting quickly. What's going on, guys? My name is Ben Nader. I'm an entrepreneur. I run a recruiting agency. I also teach a recruiting mentorship program. Links in description. Yes, the whiteboard is out. No, we are not using it today. And I'm going to dive right into the skills that you need to have in order to learn recruiting quickly. My greatest hope is that this video serves as a reminder for some of you that are looking into getting into recruiting, not really sure of what your skill sets are or where you're weak or where you're strong. But if you're strong in all these aspects, definitely go for it and definitely make the leap. If you are weak in some of these areas that you can repair, that's great. Fix them up and let's go. But if all of these are failures for you and you are not great at any of them, this is not for you. Number one, you must have sales skills. Yes, I almost cringe when I say that because I hate using the word sales when I talk about recruiting, because recruiting is not a sale, technically speaking. But you are in reality selling clients and selling candidates. At the end of the day, you have to find a client that you can sell your services to. They're going to pay you money. You're going to find them candidates. You're providing them a solution that they're paying for. That's technically a sale. So you do have to have some sort of sales skills. That means persuasion. That means influence. Those types of things. Now, the number two skill that you must have in order to learn how to be a recruiter quickly is people skills. Listen, if you're not a people person, if you're just a programmer or a coder and you don't want to be around people or talk to people, this is not the gig for you. You definitely do not want to be a recruiter because it's all about people in recruiting. Now, when I say people skills, I literally just mean the concept that you can get along with people, that you can persuade people, educate them, influence them, work with them, and basically just work both ends of a deal. You have a candidate, you have a client, you need to be able to mesh them together, find perfect matches, be a matchmaker, and work with people, mirror with them, and basically get along with everyone. Recruiting will not work out for you if you are not a people person. If you have nothing of interest in people, talking to them, dealing with them, persuading them, or just being a personable person towards other people, you have no business in recruiting because it's literally 100% of the job. Not to mention the fact that you can't exactly teach someone people skills. The number three skill that you need in order to learn recruiting fast is communication. Again, communication skills are not exactly something that you can learn in a classroom. These sort of come naturally, but good communicators make the best recruiters and they make the best numbers. So these people are able to talk the talk, walk the walk, and pretty much get along with anybody. People with great communication skills make the best recruiters. Why? Because they have to communicate with multiple parties. Again, we go back to this candidate and client situation. You have multiple parties that you need to communicate with, and you need to communicate with them on certain levels. So with your client, perhaps, you need to maybe educate and influence on the deal, and your candidate, you maybe need to sell a little bit on the position. Communication skills go hand in hand with emotional intelligence and learning how to take certain things in certain ways, like feedback, for instance, and having enough emotional intelligence to understand what someone's really trying to tell you and not take it as an insult, but simply communicate back with them in a proper and cordial format. On the other end of the spectrum, you also need to be able to extend communication from your end out to the client or the candidate in a proper fashion. That means presenting information, presenting data in the right way. This also means that communication stemming from you needs to be really, really good. You need to be proper at being able to communicate with both your client and your candidate. That means presentation, verbiage, how you say things, when you say things, and all of the above. If you lack good communication skills, you are probably not going to be a good recruiter. Now, my fourth item on how to learn recruiting fast is marketing. Now, this one is totally different than the others because this one can completely be taught and learned. Marketing is a science, it's psychology, it's all about how you present something, it's all about how someone perceives something, perceived value versus actual value. Once someone teaches you this skill, you can rinse and repeat it and use it over and over again. Specifically in recruiting, marketing is incredibly important because it's not who you know, but it's who knows you. And when you're in the recruiting space, you need to get a lot of contacts to know who you are so they can utilize you as a broker, as a recruiter. It's not just that, but once your client actually finds you and gets a hold of you after you've marketed yourself, you then need to be able to market a job. You basically need to be able to sell a job to a candidate for that client. So that again entails marketing. How you actually sell that position to a candidate is totally up to you. But at the end of the day, marketing and knowing how to do it, having the feel for it, is really what matters. When you get into recruiting, you are going to have to put out fires left and right, coming from the candidates and the clients. So you had better have some really good problem-solving skills. Honestly, I chalk problem-solving skills up to pretty much being ready for anything at any time. That's all that it means. Essentially being able to handle multiple different tasks at the same time and being able to do them efficiently. So when your client extends an offer to a candidate and the candidate takes an offer from another company and you need to fill that position ASAP before you lose that other client, that's problem solving. Or if your candidate decides to take an offer that they were given, then 2 weeks later they decide to vacate that role and you need to refill that position, that's problem solving. Recruiting is riddled with problem solving. It's nothing but problem solving. And if you can solve those problems successfully, you're going to be a successful recruiter. And the faster you can learn problem solving skills, the faster you can learn recruiting. Now, number 6 on my list is negotiation skills. Nah, we're not talking about FBI negotiators. We're talking about recruiters here. We're talking about negotiating deals, contracts, clients, candidates, that sort of thing. It's not life or death here, but it is money on the line. That's really, really serious. So essentially, negotiation comes down to persuasion, right? So when you talk to someone, you essentially want to get what you want, and you have to compromise. And so that involves negotiation. Basically, you have to give a little bit and take a little bit. And when you come to a nice little middle ground, that's when you've met a good negotiation, and that means you have good negotiation skills. If you are incapable of giving anyone just an inch of what they want and taking everything that you want in a deal, you do not have good negotiation skills, and therefore you will not make a good recruiter, and you will not learn recruiting fast whatsoever. I did mention this in a previous video, but the highest paid, best recruiters have the best time management skills. Knowing how to block off your time, use it appropriately, use it when it's right for you, and cut out all distractions is uber important for being the best recruiter that you can possibly be. If you are really bad at this, you're pretty much going to fail at almost any industry that you're involved with. But sticking with recruiting, the best recruiters know precisely how to utilize their time. They know exactly what's a priority and what's not. What can wait a day, what can't. What can wait a week, what can't, right? So they put these things all down in a super, super sophisticated system, or they have it all in their head. However they do it, they have great time management skills. They know exactly what they're doing, when they're doing it, and that's exactly how they make the most money. Pretty much if you don't have time management skills to begin with, that's a whole nother level. That has to be taught. It can be learned, but it takes a while, and it's definitely not going to make for a good recruiter to begin with, and it's very, very hard to learn the business without good time management skills. Next up on my list is confidence. Confidence is 100% critical to your success as a recruiter in this business. If you're not confident in what you're doing, you will totally flop. You're dealing with clients, sometimes of very high tenure, and you're dealing with candidates as well that can pretty much go anywhere they want for work, and you need to make those two match up. If you don't have the confidence to approach clients, sign deals with them, grab those candidates, and make them match, collect a paycheck, you're not ready for this business. Most importantly, the confidence aspect comes out when you're talking about clients. Really, this is where it shines. If you can't approach a client and offer them, a deal that's 20% fee or 25% fee with confidence and with gusto, you're not going to be able to make it. When you're asking someone for a deal that's going to charge them $25,000 when you find their candidate, you had better be asking with conviction, and that means confidence. And if you can't do that, you're totally out of luck. So they say patience is a virtue, and patience is also critical to your success in recruiting. Listen, things take time, sometimes weeks, maybe even months, right? Searches, or maybe even waiting on a signed contract. You have to be patient. You can push and prod as much as you would like, but you have to be patient at a certain level. Yes, there are cases where sometimes it's just ridiculous and a client might not sign a contract for weeks and weeks, and that's a bad client. That's not just having patience. But overall, if you have the right amount of patience, you will succeed in recruiting. When I talk about having patience, I talk about having a sound mind, good emotional intelligence, understanding that things take time, and just to wait for the goodness to come. Good things come to those who wait. They also come to those who go after them and hustle, but that's another story. Last but not least, I'm going to mention this one, persistence. Listen, you can throw the whole thing out the window right now if you are not a persistent person. I can say that for a fact. If you give up after 1, 2 emails or 1 phone call that went badly, you are not a persistent person, and basically you are too weak to be in recruiting. I'm not trying to be rude. I'm just saying 100% you have to be extremely persistent. A lot of people ask me after 10, 20 cold emails how that went if they got no responses. I tell them, talk to me after you send 500 cold emails or 1,000 cold emails, then we'll talk. Persistence is the key to winning in recruiting. If you don't have persistence, you're never going to win. Persistence is the equivalent of follow-up. You've heard me talk about follow-up numerous times. The fortune is in the follow-up, and what follow-up is just persistence. Without being able to reach out to someone 6, 7, 8, 9 plus times and try to get their business, you are definitely going to fail. This is a must. People need to get followed up with. People need to get called back. You have to be persistent with people. They're not going to come to you. You have to go to them. And if you don't have persistence, you can totally throw it out the window. So guys, if you found value in this video, please smash that like button, hit the subscribe button as well as the alert button so you know every single time I come out with a new video. Until then.